And time for us, we thought, to take something of a pulse check on the property market, or the industry, rather, as a whole. Every single day you wake up to hear of how the property market here in the UAE is absolutely booming. It is better here than it is in other parts of the world. Average property prices in Dubai rising by 10.9% year on year last month. This has got a lot to do with just the appetite for property out there. But is that really the case? Opportunity for us to take a step back, if we can, and an overview of the industry as a whole. And who better to ask than our special guest here in studio this morning, the CEO of Bayut.com, the head of EMPG MENA region, Haider Khan. Haider, lovely to see you as always.
Good to be here.
Great to have you on board. Thanks so much indeed for coming in and just taking this overview on the market, if you can, at the moment, because we get very, very wrapped up in this positivity out there at the moment. And it might put a few people off the investment side of things, just in terms of where you and your organisation is at. How do you qualify or quantify the growth at the moment?
So I think, coming straight out of the pandemic a couple of years ago, the market has been on an upswing and it continues to go strong. If you look at all of the data, if we just look at a lot of the search data, we have seen some terrific growth in terms of the interest, and that's what we do. Essentially, we're connecting the buyers with the brokers and the sellers in the market. So clearly, the interest is at an all-time high. I was just looking at the leads yesterday. I mean, they're at an all-time high, and I think the property is actually standing on a pretty solid. The whole market is actually standing on pretty solid feet this time. If you look at generally, I think what's happening across the world, there are concerns around inflation and interest rates are going up. I do think we have a different dynamic over here. We have, obviously there is financing in this mortgage market, but there's also developer financing. A good chunk of the property market happens to be off-plan sales as well, which is developer financing, which essentially, to the buyer, there is no interest rate attached. I mean, there's a payment schedule, and there's also a significant cash component in the market where people actually do just buy properties straight up.
And in terms of what next, I mean, speak to any broker at the moment, they'll say, look, you've got to get in now, you've got to get into the market, but it is going to continue as well. It's only going to go one way at the moment. Is it?
I typically don't. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, right? So I don't think about it that way. I think about it a little bit differently. If I'm going to live in it, then I usually don't care about it. And that's how I always thought about it. Which is, if you're buying for your personal use, rents have gone up. So how do you hedge against that? It's the best thing is to get into a property and start living in it. Now, if you're buying for an investment, I think there are certain pockets that are very interesting. It all is a yield, on the rent. So essentially, on your investment. So you're just looking for those pockets and identifying if you can find properties which give you that 6, 7, 8% net yield. And there's plenty of stock in the market that is behaving like that right now. And I actually don't see that, at least in the near future, changing too much. The demand is high. The population is growing. There's a lot of people moving in. The golden visas are in full swing. So I actually think the market is going to hold up pretty well this time.
So let's talk about one of the sort of long-term issues, if you like, between investors looking to invest and those selling at the moment as well. And long has been the accusation that there's been a gap between broker and investor in that market at the moment. Is there still a gap? And if there is a gap, how are we bridging it?
Look, I mean, I think the use of technology has to be prevalent, right? A lot of discovery has to be done. I think the market has been transforming and continues to transform into a more knowledgeable market, where end users need to be more knowledgeable about the properties that they're buying. We signed up an MOU with the Dubai Land Department last year, which I think was a fantastic initiative, essentially bringing transparency to the market. So if you look at the properties that are advertised on Bayut.com now, you can actually see the history badge and you can go and see the history of that property, because that, I think, brings a lot of comfort to people in terms of knowing how has this property behaved over the last 8-10 years? It's not a question of whether it's gone up or down. I think a lot of people can stomach that. It's just knowing what's happened. And I think, and we've been working on a lot of tools also to kind of bring more transparency to the market. And you do that, you kind of build more trust, and then you bridge that gap that might exist. And as the population becomes more informed about what's happening in the property market, you will rely less on opinions.
I do like that, and I love the fact that you've brought up that whole idea of tech and the use of data, because there are so many tools, there are so many products out there in the market, there are so many agencies out there in the market.
Yeah.
But in terms of, with all that information to hand, how do you convince more people to adopt the use of that data and tech?
I think that's a fantastic point. Look, it's a lot. Well, I wouldn't say it's easy. But, you can build a lot of products, but adoption is super difficult, right? Why? Because if you just think about it, we're we're creatures of habit, and we just don't really take to things, new things easily. Whether even if it's sometimes when we on the social platforms when the interface changes, it's annoying. So. Adoption of technology requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of effort to get people educated, show them the benefits, and really help them understand that this is to make their lives easier. This is to help them make better informed decisions and more informed decisions. So it's not so much about you can launch 4 products, and if nobody uses them, it's pointless. And so we've been building a lot of these products. I mean, I think one of the things that we worked very hard on over the last I would say 2-3 years, is this feature called TrueCheck, where we just really want to bring what's actually available in the market to the market. And we wanted the brokers to adopt it. Now, for the brokers to adopt it, they actually have to go to the property and take a picture. It requires extra work. It requires extra work, right? So that's not that easy to do. But when they actually do it, the benefits, we reward them. We just make sure that their listings are in front of more people and they get more leads, because this market needs to become very transparent. And as it does, I think it's going to benefit you, myself, everybody else.
It's an interesting point you make, and I was interested to hear the comments from Lewis Alsop after your recent Brokers Awards ceremony, where you recognise human beings, you recognise agencies as well for their efforts in the market. And he said, it's lovely to be recognised in a market, it's such a competitive market, for the integration not just of tech, but also the hiring of good people as well. So again, are we looking at that focus that the two have to go hand in hand?
Absolutely, right. Absolutely. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, what do you pay a broker for? Right? You pay a broker for the advice that they give you, for the guidance that they provide you, for the market knowledge that they have that perhaps you lack. And as tech kind of gives you that point of view also, where it makes it more transparent, you always need a sounding board. And those have to go hand in hand. So you have to reward people that are in the business, that are doing, that are actually moving about every day and learning more about what's happening on the ground. And then you have to couple it with just transparency. And then you can have a very, very good dialogue around where things need to go. So absolutely, you have to.
We've got about a minute left with you, Haider, if that's okay. Sure. I just want to sort of look ahead to the future. Obviously, our choices have evolved. Data has helped that as well. Sure. Obviously, that comes with challenges as well. But in terms of you looking to the future, will there be more choices? Are we going to evolve even further with the help of data?
Yeah, we have to. We have to continue to evolve, and just not in data is one element, but the service element needs to go up.
Right.
The bar needs to be raised to a level where I find it very, very comfortable to deal with anybody in the industry. So how do you make that happen? And data is just one piece, right? It's actually showing people, even if I talk about the brokers, showing them what they're doing, how that's actually helping, how that's making a difference, providing them tools that make their lives easier, which essentially then makes our lives easier when we're on the consumer end, right? So we've been launching a lot. We're going to be launching a lot of tools which are very exciting. They're going to let you see. For example, a very simple tool, which is how is this property trending against other properties in the market, which is very common in the West, which is called a comparative market analysis. We want to bring those kind of things to the public, to the brokers.
Well, we will get you back in to tell us more about that. Absolutely. I'm running out of time on this occasion. Haider, I really appreciate you coming on this morning. Thank you so much indeed. Haider Khan is the CEO of Bayut and Dibizon, the head of EMPG MENA region.